in the Indonesian Institute of Sciences. Maybe a short introduction. I entered LIPI shortly after I graduated from diploma, and then I continue my study, my undergraduate study, and then I got married and have a wonderful son. And then I continue my master's study in sociology approximately 10 years after I was accepted in LIPI. I think it's because of the enjoyment and the excitement and the passion that I found in this particular institution that kept me finding a new reason to not continue my study, my formal study. And I think my son Lentera, he's 10 years old now, and he's proud of my job. When I go out to the field and do the research, or I have to go to the field with the community for more than 2 weeks or a month, he would say, "No, it's okay, Mom, I miss you, but you can go." But if my husband go for research to the field, say, "Dad, why are you going away?" but why do you allow Mom? And my son would say, "Mom is doing good things for the people." I love them very much, and my husband too. There are two points that I would like to share to you in my presentation. The first is only one slide. We will briefly share with you the face of the government in Indonesia, and a very short introduction of these faces. And then I would like to briefly share with you how I am positioned in the government, science and society relation, and how I can actually execute my leadership in that work. So this slide shows a lot of popular faces. The first you might already know, we call it SPY or SPY. He's the Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono. He had been governing our country for 2 terms, and he's now heading his last term. He won't be elected anymore because that's the maximum term. There's so many impression that was put up to SPY. Many are satisfied with what he already provided in terms of different services, but there's also a lot of criticism had raised, particularly in the last term of his governorship. The second picture here, Jokowi, he loves Metallica. He has a very, very special place near the community's heart in Solo, one of the cities that he was appointed to be as a mayor. But then again, when he ran for the election of the governor for the Jakarta, he also won Jakarta's heart, and he won over a very, very tough competition among other candidates. And now he's the governor of Jakarta, where I live. And now there's so many voices being quite upset because he's now running for the president, because he should be able to deliver his promises to the people of Jakarta. But in the other way around, there are so many candidates that lost people's trust. I mean, like severely. We have, for example, one candidate that couldn't keep his promise related to the Lapindo, the hot mud flow, and he's also in the capitalist side of the persona as well. So I think now Jokowi had a very, very good chance to be our next president. That's what the recent survey has been telling us, but we will see later on in the year. Risma, over there, she's a very wonderful lady. She's the mayor of Surabaya. And she was appointed, and she was not really sure that she will be the mayor. She was just agreed to follow the election because she's appointed by a certain party in Surabaya. But then she poured all her heart and did a very specific and technical work, like paying attention to disabled children, prostitutions, the flood, everything, and it really touches people's heart. And when she is being confronted by political interest, she really put a very thick wall against it, and it's very, very difficult for her to stand up. And then she came publicly in the national television saying that I might turn down my mayorship because this is just too hard for me. But what I think it's important to keep on paying attention to my people, and that is important, but being here in a political position, it's really, really hard, and I don't think I can make it. And then come again a flooding response from the people, not only from Surabaya, but also from other areas in Indonesia, saying that no, you must stay with your position, we support you, we need this very good figure. The other leader here, Ridwan Kamil, he's also from one of the famous city, Bandung, Paris Penjapa, they said. hometown. Ridwan Kamil was previously was an architect. He built a very beautiful museum, a tsunami museum in Aceh, and he poured his passion. He had to leave all his incomes being an architect and have a very low income as a mayor in Bandung. But then he can quickly make a big change in only a couple of months. It's only, I think, 4 months now? 4 months. He had urged more public transportation use rather than cars. He put on a bicycle path for people to go by for work. He goes by bike to the office, and he really showed a good example of leadership. And then he built a lot of parks, thematic parks, parks for music, parks for reading, and all of the parks have a very high-speed Wi-Fi connection, and people can access that. So he thinks that public do need a very good social space that can allow them to interact, and therefore social issues and problems can be reduced and significantly. And I think there's a growing trust from the people of Bandung to Ridwan Kamil. Of course, I can put up a lot of other faces that is not really good. So I don't know about Garut Mayor. Maybe you can add your impression, Tanti. But then that will be an introduction. So this is a national level of government. This is the provincial level, and then this is the district level. So all of these people have to design their campaign and priorities, and then they have to translate those priorities when they are elected into a 5-year planning. And then after they design the 5 years planning, they have to then, again, as you mentioned, collaborate with other parties and make some accommodations to then establish a concrete plan annually and in 5 years. And there's also a bottom-up, supposedly, inputs from the local dialogue for development planning, or as we call it, Musrembang, down to up. There's different priorities that the community feel that they need that, and then they have to be heard. But there are many decisions made by the government whether it's going to be accommodated or not due to limited resources. Talking about priorities, I will talk about disaster as the government priorities and what will be the inflicting issues behind that. And we are pretty sure that disaster is a very effective vehicle to disrupt the governance and also the society. And we're specifically going to look at the role of science in this manner. I work for the Indonesian Institute of Sciences, and maybe a bit different with Johan. I am working for the government. I'm paid by the government from the people's money. And we are serving our work supposedly to be returned back to the people of Indonesia. So what the scientists did in 2003, they designed a poster based on their research finding that somewhere in Mentawai, this is Sumatra Island, if you can remember a bit of geography. This is Sumatra Island, and then right in front there is Mentawai Islands, and then in front of them there is a mega thrust, that's what they call it, that can actually generate a very, very huge tsunami in the future. And we did have track of historical tsunami events that were just as severe along the coast. So the scientists are trying to tell the people using scientific language that you have a risk, there's a hazard in front of you, living with you. But the words used are our island is sinking. And how the community respond to these words were in panic, and they would like to evacuate quickly because they thought the island is sinking like a mushroom and it will be broken down in the middle and like that. And they will be devastated. But that is an entirely wrong way to put it. And rather than causing a good awareness, it created a further problem. So there's actually information going out there before the 2004 tsunami, but even most of the scientists are not really looking at the Aceh tsunami risk as a threat at that particular time. All of the campaign is about Mentawai, and people are not really aware of. Ibu Eri said as hometown, Momere Flores, they already experienced tsunami as well in year 2000, was it? 1992. And there's all of the coast in Indonesia have the same threat for tsunami. So this is a picture that can actually give you, oh sorry, oh it didn't work. Okay. Let's see. This is how it works.
We saw the other one.
What do you think?
Can you right click if you, because it does show the hand symbol instead of a cursor, instead of the arrow, so it should work.
Okay, otherwise I'll just look at.
There's a play button.
Yeah, oh, use this one.
Yeah, there's this one.
I'll just look at my.
You can press play here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, we have to turn on the sound. Sorry for that. So you can see here that the Aceh people don't have any knowledge about tsunamis and earthquakes. They don't know there's an army. I'm sure what is it, right? It's trying to move people away from the coastline instinctively, and then there's people both mad. These guys are going back to these now, maybe to fix some problems. It's like going on. And no one can do anything about that. This is my house is broken down. Some people are drowned. I think that that's about it. What the picture is trying to tell us is that at that particular time in 2004, the tsunami is so unpopular to the communities, and people's reaction is really, they cannot control themselves from being panicked. They cannot control themselves from not knowing where to go. There's no discussion about safe zones, so on and so forth. It doesn't mean that that was our last tsunami. We also have one severe tsunami in 2010, shortly afterwards in Mentawai. So after the 2004 tsunami, there's a lot of intervention going on in different areas at risk. Trainings, socialization, and it's not driven by the government mainly. That will be a bit info. It was actually driven more from the external organizations, say NGOs, academics, and so on and so forth. But the government quite open to accept this kind of support and help. So the initiative from the local government is not really strong enough. Shortly after 2004, they have not yet put in the tsunami risk into their priority planning even in Mentawai. So 500 people died in this event, and they only have 7 minutes, even far less from the Aceh. So they thought they have 30 minutes like Aceh. They really reflect from the media that they do have time to run, but they didn't. And because of the intervention coming into this Mentawai, saying that you have 30 minutes when you look at when you feel the ground shake, cover your head, duck under a strong table, and then run to higher ground. They don't have that time. They don't have that luxury in Mentawai, and we will always be surprised. And I would really like Sumba to be assessed as well, just to make sure. But intervention has a good side as well. Even it is not intervened by the local government. We do have an earthquake later on 2012. And it did have a potential tsunami, and our national government was succeeded in disseminating this early warning system for tsunami. But this particular village in Aceh, who personally experienced the 2004 tsunami, and they were being intervened by NGOs, international NGOs, with trainings, with building back their houses, they had the ability to gather around and decide by themselves whether they want to go up or stay. And they did go up. They didn't receive any information from the national government. they didn't know whether the water is receding or not, but they decided to go up because they have lost a lot of families before. And this became the success story of the self-evacuation with limited dependencies after intervention. So I think when we're talking about science communication, that is the area what I've been doing. We talk with local universities. Science communication is not a popular thing. It's not marketable actually in many mainstream universities providing communication majors. So many people that I met in University of Pajajaran or even in UI said that what is science communication? Why is it important? And I think Anne-Marie, we share the same issues and dilemmas as well in here, but I do feel that it is important. Scientists will not do the extension work unless they have the passion to do that. What we've been doing after 2004, from 2006 until now, is recruit volunteers from different universities. So we have 32 volunteers and from 2006 until 2008, and now it's reduced to 12. And now they are able to receive a better honoraria for a better incentive, but still not quite adequate. But we give them space to then think about creative approaches, activities, communication methodologies that the community can accept. When I was appointed as chair of the working group 3 emergency preparedness in the Indian Ocean tsunami warning system, we developed this tsunami risk assessment guideline for the regional level, the Indian Ocean level. But then, after having this, we continue advocating to the national government that we do need an Indonesian risk assessment guideline. We did not have that before for tsunami context. So then we have that national guideline. We worked for it for almost 1 year, and then we come up with a very minimum standard of what the local government can do with little intervention from the national government, and then they can actually produce this kind of map using a very simple and open source tools. Then we went to Mentawai and trained local government there to then decide. But then again, at the same time, the national government is developing the same risk assessment, a more sophisticated one with more sophisticated data, which became a bit conflicting. That will be another story. But then the unit that I'm working with, the team that I'm working with, it's called Compressed Community Preparedness. They do this translation, engagement, workshop methodologies in the field with the local government, and we'll be different with schools and also with local communities. Once they develop their own information and they have it on hand on the table, and then if they can touch their area, as you mentioned, as Flo mentioned, if you're close with the local context, you then understand what you need to do, what you need to decide. There's an excitement going there, and there's a sense of responsibility that we can build from the community, rather than showing this risk. This is your map, just take it, go ahead, put it in your 5 years development planning, whatever it takes, I'm gone. But that's not the way it is. So we cannot really stop our work. It keeps continuing extending. So we decided to elaborate our knowledge and capability to understand how to mainstream disaster risk reduction into development planning. So it's not a standalone disaster issues that the government should pay attention. It should be embedded into other different areas, and it then can be grasped by not only disaster management agency, but also, for example, women's welfare, school, education agency, agriculture, social welfare, so on and so forth, because they all have the interest related to disaster risk reduction efforts. And these kind of interaction are not yet developed by the executing agency, which is the National Disaster Management Agency and the local disaster management agency, meaning we assume that we need to provide that kind of services because we see the problem. So translating risk information, of course, is not easy. There's a complex background behind that. I don't want to go into detail with that. But I think you can actually see, or we can actually discuss the risk of sociocides and the opportunities of socio-structure with the nation-state setting in Indonesia. I think there are many avenues to play a better role for the science to empower national and local government, including the community. But doing so, I think I have to empower myself, and I have to co-empower tower, how to say it, with the team as well. And then we were given a comfortable space from Lippy to do so, and that's also a privilege for me. So I think that will be my extended presentation.
Thank you very much.